food obviously communicates to the heart. You know, it's like it touches people in a sort of deeper way, in a really like essential, nourishing way. And I think it's hard to feel too hateful or fearful in a moment of like receiving nourishment. The Supper Club is a gathering place, and I think in that role, it's serving the function that traditional fine art also serves, where it's a reason for people, for a community of interested people to come together and have a conversation and have a shared experience and share their reflections about that experience. I go to a show of paintings and am very inspired to talk about how they were made and think about my own work as a visual artist and say, like, what would I do, you know, reflecting on this show. And I'd like to think that people come to these events and see, you know, whatever they see, some kind of creative output, and are like, what do I want to do? This is serving as a vessel, you know, a space for conversation and idea sharing, and that's sort of what art is like about. It's getting people to come out of their bubble, come out of their homes, whatever, come to a kind of a neutral space, an open space, and gather around a thing that is sort of like more or less universally understood and appreciated. Like, you can appreciate a beautiful chicken or a zucchini without too much context. It can just be those things, and that's pretty inclusive, I think. There's an intimacy in the food system here, particularly, where we can know where our food comes from, which is rare in a lot of systems, I think, in our modern lives. Making food has become a very gratifying art form, sort of creative outlet for me, and I really love the ephemeral quality about it, that serving a meal to people is like a performance, and you sort of practice and prepare, and, you know, when the time comes, you're as ready as you are, and that's the show you put on. It's very of the moment. It's of the moment in terms of the products that go into it. They're obviously seasonal and informed by what the farmers are harvesting at the time, and the weather, the time of year shifting slightly, and then the people who are there, I think, definitely are like the most important component of the work, and they're what makes it. They're what completes it. Local food, organic food, you know, ideas around like sustainable agriculture are also connected to ideas around social justice and workers' rights and, you know, environmental activism in a sort of like soft way. And I think that's like can be very inviting. But I think it also creates this atmosphere of conviviality where everyone is having the same experience at the same time, you know, and they're exchanging their impressions of that experience like with each other. There are groups of people who occupy different roles in different moments. Some people, it feels like they're, you know, patronizing my business. They want to give me money to sustain the project because that's where they're coming from. Beyond, you know, the work I do at the moment of cooking for people, there's so much work that other people do, the farmers do, you know, to make the products come to the table. And those folks, you know, I'm super grateful that they come to these events. You know, the farmers who raise this, the ingredients I cook with come to dinner, and like, I wouldn't want to do it if it weren't accessible to the people who are part of the whole process. One thing I think is special about food is you can order food on the internet, but we're sort of blessed and cursed in a rural place like the Adirondacks with the reality that we can't really do that. Our version of dining out is still more analog than like in New York City. And I was working in restaurants in Brooklyn and listening to the chefs talk about this is local food from a farm in the Hudson Valley. And I was looking around the kitchen like, we're all here like 60 hours a week. Like, who here has ever been to this farm in the Hudson Valley? And the truth was none of us ever had. There was this sort of inherent like disconnection. And it occurred to me that if I ever wanted to really know where food came from, I would have to stop professional cooking to have time to do it. And so that's what I did, and I dropped out of the professional restaurant industry and more or less followed farming home. And I am from the Adirondacks, and I feel like I'm home, and there's something special, there's something that really feels right about that to me, to kind of come back and like make my own version of Adirondack art or whatever this is. It's not fair to say like, you have to eat local. It's a moral judgment. It's not accessible for most people. I think it's an awesome opportunity if you have it. I think it affords you that intimacy and that connection to who made your food, which is transcendent and beautiful. For me, creatively, I also appreciate the limitation. I don't really want to walk into the grocery store or if I was cooking in the city, have any ingredient I could ever want available to me. It kind of like dulls creativity. For my process, limitation is very important. I've come to feel a deep gratitude for having the opportunity to make something and to share it with people. That's like, for me personally, vital and important part of my life and sort of seasonal rhythm is having this opportunity to do this and share it with folks is massive.